First story. My parents spoiled my golden sister so much while using me as their scapegoat, so I left. Now they are having a breakdown. She has become so toxic that she is physically assaulting them and making fake CPS reports. Now my parents want me to control her. First off, this is one of my first posts, so please forgive me for any mistakes. So, some context. My mother has 2 children, me 24F and my younger sister 15F. Her and my dad were never together. But when she got pregnant with my sister all those years ago, she married my stepfather out of wedlock. My stepfather is much older and was pretty wealthy at the time. When my mother decided to marry my stepdad, she packed me up and moved us 4 hours away from my grandparents, my primary caregivers since I was born, and my dad. I won't get too far into what my life was like after I moved in, but it is worth mentioning that I suffer from diagnosed CPTSD and severe anxiety from my years of living with them. My sister never had a chance. Since the start, she's been spoiled. Not just spoiled rotten. As the years went on, I tried to tell my mother and stepdad that she would not just grow out of it like they said she would. I've had friends compare her to Veruca from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. She screams, throws things, hits people, threatens to lie to CPS, calls our mother a fat cow or depressed loser, and calls her father an old man. For heaven's sake, she called her 95-year-old grandmother an old bee and stomped on our other grandmother's foot. She is out of control. What is being done about this? Well, their idea of discipline is nothing. Her dad is considerably older and doesn't want to make her hate him for the short amount of time he has left with her. So he leaves the discipline to our mother, who is mentally very unstable and crumbles easily. Because my sister is so outwardly difficult, I've always been revered as a good child. To be clear, me being the good child included my silence and compliance. I had to be responsible and mature for my age because my stepdad and mother were not. Because of this and some guilt, my mother and stepfather have always overly relied on me. I'm the one who placates, who mediates, who tried to parent their kid, but was constantly undermined. It caused me to have several severe relationship issues as an adult. After high school, I moved out and went to college. I attended therapy and started to learn that the people pleasing me by living with them were crippling me. So I've slowly started stopping. The last key component of the context is that my mom and stepdad do not support me. Even when I lived with them in high school, every dime for lunch money or new clothes came from my grandparents. Even my car was given to me by my grandparents at 18. They've paid 1 semester of my JUCO roughly $2,500, and to their credit, they did pay for my braces when I was 10. However, this pales when compared to the $10,000 a semester they spend on her private school tuition, her $1,000 monthly allowance they put on her debit card, her new Porsche car, which she can't even drive yet, plus so much more. My mother even asked me to give up my birthday last year to attend my sister's cheer nationals in Florida, which I did to be a good sister. But there was no such thing for me when I was in high school. For the record, I understand most of this money is from my wealthy stepdad. I am not delusional about the fact that I am not his kid, and therefore shouldn't expect support from him. However, they expect me to support them. Now I'm at a loss. I've always relented and gone to my mother's house on Christmas Eve to wake up and open gifts, because it's important to her. But I don't believe I'm there because she wants me to be there, mostly so I can mediate. My sister always makes a spectacle of Christmas Eve. Last year, our mother put $4,000 worth of gifts under the tree for her and me both, and my sister was not happy with a single gift that she asked for. I'm talking screaming, throwing gifts in the trash, biting and scratching. All at 14 years old. Christmas Day has always ended in screaming and tears. I hate Christmas because of this. This year, I wanted to spend it with my grandparents and see my dad over the holiday. This was not taken well. I get told by my grandmother that I'm the only thing keeping my mom sane. It was implied that a good kid would want to spend time with her family and sister on Christmas. And I told her that my younger sister has gotten so much more than me: money, opportunities, support, etc. And she gets to be horrible to our mother and get rewarded for it. Why should I be a good kid if I'm not getting anything in return? Why should I spend a holiday with family that makes it horrible for my grandparents, who are actually supporting me? My grandma said that this was a horrible thing to say. She begged me not to say this to my mother, and to just put up with it. This is not how my grandparents raised me to be or think. But it's not so much about the money as it is just my blatant usage of it. Some part of me feels greedy and spoiled for being upset over the difference in support. But somehow it still just feels so wrong to keep giving in to them. What is keeping me at bay is that my grandparents have never steered me wrong. But I sometimes wonder if what was done to me gets forgotten about because my mother is mentally ill and does suffer. And my sister is like this because it's all she's ever known. I can't help but feel like I can't relent on this one, that my boundaries are being trampled. So, Ada for wanting to say this to my mother. If yes, what else do I do? Thank you in advance for reading. Ada has no consensus bot. Based on the comments, the OP was NTA. Relevant comments. Intrepid Potential 60. You want to be paid to go to her house for Christmas. Look, go be happy. But that is just not a good move. Essentially losing all class and character and blackmailing you for your attendance. Just don't go. NTA for not wanting to go. But you would if you paid that pay me card. OP, I'm not asking for monetary gain. I'm asking them to stop using me as their support, financial, emotional, etc. When they haven't shown me any since I moved in with them at 10 years old. It's always been this big deal of, well, you came out of it a better person, and they can't help it, and you're out of it now. But I'm still suffering from the damage they caused. My sister suffers. My grandparents suffer. They suffer. But instead of owning up to anything, they'd all rather pretend to have another happy Christmas. I'm ready to bring everything to a head. But then comes the hard truth. I can't be the golden child with nothing in return but misery. RRRReptipnip, which grandma is this? Why doesn't she support you being independent from your mother and trauma? You won't have them forever. Why don't they want you to spend more time with them, who love you, than with your spoiled sister? OP, these are my maternal grandparents, although my grandpa is not my blood grandpa, and not my mom's biological dad. Her dad denounced her on his deathbed. My mother has always had this jealousy when it comes to my grandparents, my grandma in particular. When under the influence, she's told me several times, I'm sorry I wasn't the mother you needed, or, I'm your mom, not her. My grandmother, I think, feels a lot of guilt for my mom because she's mentally ill and was an addict. We all sympathize with my mom's situation of not being stable and stuck in a marriage we don't think she'd ever choose to be in now. However, for some reason, I get the brunt of the emotional load. My grandma does try to lessen it, but my mom wants me because having me around lessens her guilt, I believe. Thus 514, and I get that another part of the problem is that your grandparents are asking you to do this to support your mother, their daughter, I'm guessing. It might be worth explaining that you need a break, or that you're going to snap, and you don't want to add more drama to an already fraught situation. Frame it as a temporary break for your grandparents, just to get some breathing space until your mother's current family unit finds a new balance. That will probably end up being never, but at least it gives you time. And if they insist, suggest that they go and support your mother, while you spend Christmas with your dad, if they want her load to ease so much. They don't want to deal with your sister either, so that should help them understand what they're asking you. OP, yes, this is a big part of the problem. My grandparents have done so much for me that they shouldn't have had to do it because I'm not their child, yet they did. I will forever be indebted to them, and if they ask anything of me, I agree without hesitation. So what this situation really boils down to is that if I'm not there, the drama and emotional burden fall on my grandmother. She's elderly and sickly, and I just can't let them happen without some sort of plan. Update. I took a lot of advice from my original post. I just felt like I should update things here and get some advice in turn. Christmas went unexpectedly well, but not for the reasons one would think. I ended up not saying anything harsh to my mother. I sat with my grandparents as long as I could, then made the 3-hour drive up to my mother and stepdad. My stepdad's family has always been so kind and treated me like family, so I enjoyed going over there and spending time with them. My mother and stepdad left to get together early on Christmas Eve. Come to find out, my sister had opened all of her gifts earlier that day, before I got there. When she realized she didn't get everything she wanted, she took a couple of my presents and threw them in the pool. Luckily, I asked for a lot of cat toys for my cats, and those are the things she threw in, and they were fine after they dried. I spent the night with my mother and stepdad while my sister stayed with her aunt and cousins, and I opened my presents peacefully on Christmas morning before heading to see my dad. All things considered, it was a nice holiday compared to the others we've had. What comes after is unfortunately not an improvement. It seems like my sister's behavior is on a steady decline. For some context, last year my sister messaged me with a picture of her with a fat lip, saying our mom hurt her. I was so angry, I called her aunt to pick her up and told her she was not allowed to go back, and if they had a problem, I would call the cops. When talking to my mother, she had a severe black eye where my sister had attacked her. I didn't care who started it. I just thought it should never have had to escalate to that. She spent the summer with her aunt. CPS investigated and found no abuse in the home. Both my mom and sister went to therapy. My sister wanted to go back to her parents before school started. Now, presently, my sister has learned that she can abuse our mom and get away with it. I have gotten 3 phone calls where I've seen my mom with black eyes, scratches, or marks from my sister. I've witnessed her snatch a wig off my mother's head and rip her hair out. My mother lacks confidence because her husband insults her on a daily basis, and my sister will destroy anything that could boost her confidence. I've witnessed her pour Starbucks into my mom's makeup bag, cut her wig, etc. She's thrown glass mugs at my mother too. The last phone call I got from my mother was from her with another black eye, and she said that my stepdad tried to spank my sister, but she just rolled her eyes. Apparently, he took her phone away too, but only for 2 hours. My stepdad does not stand up for my mother, and she has no power and no money to enforce over my sister's head. My sister says they can't do anything either, or she'll call CPS on them. When my mother called me this last time, I basically just shrugged and told her I didn't know what else to tell her. Send her to boot camp, a mission trip, turn off her phone, or something. But it's all things I've said before. I've toyed with the idea of getting the law involved, but how seriously do they take child-to-parent abuse? Wibta if I did that. Any advice is appreciated. And thanks for reading my vent post. Edit. Going without contact is almost impossible. I owe my entire life to my grandparents, and if I have no contact with my mom or stepdad, the burden falls on my grandmother, who I'm sure my mom would hound to get to me. I am taking steps to go low contact though. Edit Roman 2. I just found out my sister's aunt, my stepdad's sister, was told about the abuse from my mom. My aunt would like to hold a meeting and an intervention with the whole family, me and the parents included. I will not be part of the disciplining process, but I will absolutely give my 2 cents on everything. Come to find out, it's my aunt paying for my sister's very expensive school, and she's now threatening to pull her from that school if she does not agree to a 6-week anger management outpatient thing. My sister is incredibly snobby and has said before that she'd rather die than go to public school. She also loves her cheerleading team. I will keep updating relevant comments. Cyril ANTA. But get your mom to put up hidden nanny cams in her house, so the next time your half-sister hurts her, it's on camera. And when your half-sister pulls the CPS bullshit again, your mom will have footage in case she does call them. She can also take the footage to the police and press charges. Maybe juvenile detention or jail will teach the spoiled brat she can't just get away with everything. OP. I've been telling my mom to record her at least what she says in voice memos. But my sister gets my mom in such a tizzy, she forgets to do it in the moment. I have a couple of recordings, but only if she is insanely bratty and mouthy. Sadly, nothing is legally incriminating. A secret might do the trick if I can convince my mom to put it up. Sickbrick 3. It sounds like your mother is desperate for your help. Maybe even a way out, even if that only means a roof and 4 walls. OP. I have tried to help as much as I can within my means. She doesn't want the advice or solutions I give her. She doesn't want to bring up the problem to anybody or do anything drastic, which I realize is also a pattern of abuse. But there isn't anything else I can do. I called CPS before, and they found no abuse. If I called the cops, they'd all pretend like everything was fine. Penguin in a jacket. This is really just a sad situation. The only way I can really see to fix this is to have your mother and stepfather divorced to just sever the tie of your awful stepsister. Or send her to a camp. But that's very unlikely. The way you feel is very real. Your burnout from trying to put out fire on someone else's house. Unfortunately, this is not your problem. Your mother is getting beaten by a child, and your stepdad wants a brat to like him before he dies. If you can't step away from the situation, at least protect yourself emotionally. And understand that really, there's nothing you can do to fix other people's lives. OP. Through therapy, I have begun the process of peeling away emotionally. I will always have sympathy and compassion for my family, and for anyone else. But I've realized there's nothing more I can do. I've come to terms with the fact that I might have to always keep this part of my family at arm's length to truly be able to breathe. These are the final steps to keeping it that way until they change something. The sad part is that my mom has made changes by leaps and bounds. She's quit alcohol, quit abusing her pills, gone to psychotherapy to get her bipolar disorder under control and stuck to it, etc. She is so much more controlled, and my sister and stepfather bring out the worst in her still for their benefit. Evelyn Kate, if you're in the States, many states have elder abuse laws. It sounds like stepdad qualifies. Not sure about mom. In Florida, it's a felony. OP. If I got them involved, my stepdad and mom would play dumb and deny everything. They're too embarrassed to bring shame upon themselves from what they've raised, sadly. Second story. My entitled parents took me out of their will and gave it to my golden child sister. revealing their resentment towards me for being an unwanted child who stole attention from my sister. So I cut ties with them. Recently, I was helping my parents with a bit of late spring cleaning and throwing a lot of old trash out when I came across what I assumed was the most recent copy of their will dated June 2012. I didn't mean to look at it, but as I moved it, I noticed in the beneficiaries section on the front only my sister was listed. Then I know it was horrible of me to do. I decided to read through it. I'm not in it at all. My sister is listed as the sole beneficiary. She will get their house, life insurance policies, savings, car, absolutely everything. They aren't rich people by any means, but due to the way property prices have risen since they bought their house in the 80s, this probably comes in total to about £500,000. They have always had a thing with favoring my sister a bit more than me, giving her extra attention and stuff, but I've never really minded. She is a bit of a screw-up, and if I'm honest, she has needed the extra attention. I'm not going to lie either. My financial situation is a lot better than that of my parents. I'm engaged, and together, me and my partner, no kids, make about £45,000 a year. She is a single parent of 2 children, deadbeat dad, no child support, earning about £16,000 a year. I know that is a lot of a gap, and I would understand if they left her a greater share to help her out more, but leaving me with nothing just seems so harsh. While me and my fiancé do earn more, we aren't exactly rolling in money, and even if they had only left me 20%, it would still be more than enough to help me start to buy a house. Obviously, this is all hypothesized, as they are both perfectly healthy and have a long time in them yet. It just seems harsh that if they were to die tomorrow, my sister would be set, while I would be left with nothing. Am I right to be angry about this? Should I confront them about it or not? I know it's not my money at all, but she is a terrible daughter to them. Over the years, she has lied to them, stole money from them and me, had to be bailed out, and paid fines for drug charges, etc. She even finished school, so while she is financially worse off, it is only because she has made herself so. On the other hand, I visit them all the time, help them out whenever they ask, and go to university, which they have always wanted me to do. I paid for it 100% myself with no help. And it just seems like they are punishing me and rewarding her for being such a failure. Additional info. They have always had a parenting style of letting me make my own way. If I wanted something, I was expected to do chores, get a job, and pay for it. I don't mind at all. It makes me more responsible. My sister, on the other hand, always bought what she wanted and never really expected as much from her as I did. TLDR. I saw my parents' will. I have been taken out in favor of my deadbeat sister. Should I confront them or be mad? Update. 12 hours later. I just want to say to all of you that you are absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for your support. If I could, I would respond to each of you individually, but unfortunately, I don't have the finger strength for that. Hello all, and thank you all for your responses. I think the vast majority of you understood what I was upset about, with only a few idiots thinking that it was about money, rather than validation of what I had always believed a bit, that they prefer my sister. I wanted to get this sorted out as soon as possible to book the afternoon off work. I went around to see them and learned 2 new things about myself from my parents. 1. I was in an accident. Apparently, after my sister, my mom had a miscarriage, and they decided not to try again. And then, a year later, pops me. Because I was unplanned. They hadn't really thought through their finances. And so for about a year and a half, my dad had to work 2 jobs, and has always felt that I made him miss out on my sister growing up. And that because he rarely saw me, he has never really connected with me. As for my mom, the previous miscarriage had put her off of having children. She was content with her little girl, and by then age 39 was quite happy to be done having children. 2. They are disappointed with me. They don't like my fiancé. They don't like that I live a 40-minute drive away. They are sad that I chose accounting instead of doing a law degree. But most of all, they are disappointed that I am not closer to my sister. That is friends with a girl who spent most of her life bullying me, who has treated them appallingly, who stole money from them regularly until she moved out, and who I was persuaded to lend £2,000 of my savings for university to so she could clear some debts. She never paid that back, and I had to get into a lot of debt myself to get through my final year. It's not even like I am horrible to my sister now. I love my niece and nephew and spoil them all the time, and for their sake, I will help her out from time to time with money for bills and food. Apparently, this is why I am not in the will, and never have been except when I was younger, when custody of me would have been given to an aunt until I was 18. They have never really seen me as their son. I was always a bit too distant and self-reliant, which apparently made it easy for them to love your sister more. I'm not down to get anything, as they don't really view me as part of the family. Me going away for 3 years to university made it worse, but it's something that they have always felt. They asked me if I felt that what I did was wrong, and said if I could persuade them otherwise, they would change it somewhat. My sister would still be the main beneficiary, but I would get something from them. I know you guys will probably be disappointed with my response, but I just left. I told them I didn't care about the money at all, and if they could not see me as a son, then I no longer saw them as parents. TLDR. I am excluded as my parents are unhappy with my life choices, despite never telling me so before. Also, I was unwanted, and so they have never really connected with me or viewed me as part of the family. Because they were so focused on my sister, I became self-sufficient and grew up faster, and that made them feel more distant. My sister means more to them than I do, and they do not want to change their minds or try to work things through. I have no parents now. However, on a positive note, my future in-laws are awesome, and I have been calling her mother-in-law for a while now, so I do kind of get some parents. OP has found this post and came back to give a final update. He's living a happy life now. Let's wish him and his family the best. I'm just posting this as a little update. I found this post while browsing Bastaf and managed to remember the old password. I'm now 33, happily married, have 2 beautiful daughters, and run my own business that I started during COVID lockdowns, which has basically helped us become fully financially independent. I have had 0 contact with my parents or sister these past 11 years. Parents are still alive. As a result of insane house price increases in the UK, they are probably worth close to £1 now, and I'm fairly certain my sister is waiting for them to die. From what I've heard from other people, her behavior improved. No more stealing, etc. But she's still broke and in a dead-end job because she has virtually no qualifications to get anything better and no drive to improve. The only person I'm in contact with is my nephew, my sister's son. He's nothing like his mother. He has an absolutely brilliant mind. He's currently at the university studying math, and my wife and I help him with his living expenses because he wouldn't have been able to go without it. And to be honest, with his mind, it would be a waste. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.